I remember walking into the press room and no one was in there. And I remember my handler with me was like, where's all the media? And they're like, there's a tornado about to hit. Evacuate immediately. And we're like, what? Like, what just happened?
I'm here today with Chef Edgar Rico of Nixta Taqueria in Austin, Texas. Chef, welcome to Chef.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Of course, man. So tell me about how this all got started.
Wow.
Let's start early.
I mean, for me, I've always been fascinated with cooking. I think TV shows back in the day, they actually used to cook, you know, like literally they would cook like a dish from start to finish. And like, I was just so immersed by that, by seeing like someone telling this story. You get to hear a little bit about their heritage, and then you get to see like a new dish. I took a crack at cooking Thanksgiving dinner when I was like 11 years old after like binging Food Network for like a week or two and just being like, yeah, I can do this. I saw like all these chefs cook like Thanksgiving.
What did your family think? Like, did you have like this uncle or auntie that was like, hell yeah, this boy can cook? Or
yeah, I think my mom definitely saw it, but I don't know if she ever thought of it maybe as me doing it as a career per se.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me in high school, I remember like after my junior year, I had like a football injury that literally like sidelined me for the rest of my career, you know? I decided, I was like, a lot of my counselors at the time were like, well, you should probably work in a kitchen to see if maybe, you know, this is something that sparks your interest, like for real. Literally like 2 blocks away from where I lived, this steakhouse was opening up. Yeah, I want to get a job here. And they're like, do you have any experience? I was like, no. They're like, okay, we're gonna put you on dish. I was like, damn, all right. Happened to be like working that job kind of set me up, I feel like, for the rest of my life in a way. The kitchen manager there actually at the time, he had told me, he was like, hey, what's gonna be your next step, like past high school? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I wanna be maybe in cooking school, but I just don't know maybe where to go. I just graduated a few years ago from this place called the Culinary Institute of America. And I was just
no big deal, right?
Yeah. I had no idea at this point like what it was. Yeah. So I was like,
that's pretty early though. I mean, like you got into it early.
It was like senior year.
Yeah. That's a hell of a move in high school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that just shows a testament to you, right? It's like you had that passion, you had that drive. What did your parents or your family think about you actually taking cooking as a profession?
I think my parents were always supportive of whatever I decided to do in my life, no matter what. They were never the kind of people that were like, you gotta be a doctor, you gotta be like a lawyer.
You didn't have Asian parents.
No, I know. I know. The day I got my acceptance letter for CIA California, they called me and they were like, hey, we have kind of like a low admittance rate for like our summer classes right now at CIA in New York. They're like, if you would be willing to move cross country next week, we'll give you X amount of dollars off your tuition. And I was like, damn. I was like, that's a good chunk of change.
That's
actually.
A lot to think about you're still a teenager.
Yeah, literally 18 years old at this point. I can honestly say it was like one of the best decisions I've ever made for my life. Bob, I hope you are ready, my friend. So we got some Enchilada Potosinas right here. This dish is a dish that you rarely ever see leave the state or even that city from San Luis Potosí. And it's a super simple dish. We have on the bottom of here, it's a little bit of duck fat refried beans, a little chorizo and potato, and then 2 things that very much so are like specialties that make this dish. One is the cheese that we put on top. It's called queso anejo enchilado. When they age this cheese in particular, they rub it down with a little bit of a chili puree, so some guajillo in there and a little bit of arbol. And they'll let that ferment for about 8 to 12 months. Wow. The result is like this really firm cheese that smells god awful, but it really sets off the whole entire dish. Traditionally, you know, most people in the US, when they're making enchiladas, they just sauce the top. In San Luis Potosí, we add the chili into the masa. So that's why you have this like bright red hue on the tortilla.
So you were saying that this was an enchilada, right? So for the people that grew up in Texas,
Yeah,
this is not the enchilada we're used to seeing,
totally.
right? So would you say, but is this just to that region that we're talking about, or
Absolutely.
or enchiladas different everywhere you go in Mexico?
Yeah, I would say it depending on what state you're in, enchilada might look a little different than what we're, you know, used to seeing.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's the regionality of Mexico. Like, there's over 30 states in Mexico, and each one of them kind of has their own unique kind of thing.
Makes sense because you talk about the geographic nature of Mexico and the terrain, the terroir, the mountains, the
There's
oceans.
everything.
I mean, you got
Jungles.
Pacific Ocean, you got Atlantic Ocean. I mean, you got everything surrounding you.
Absolutely.
You got desert, right? Jungle. I mean, it's everything. So I can see where things kind of get passed down through the lineage, but then you're just using the resources at hand to make that dish.
You know, when I was creating this dish, it's like I didn't have all the exact ingredients that they have. You know, we wanted to make our version that we felt proud of and that still hit all those same notes in terms of flavor, appearance, but, you know, it's just a little Nixta kind of jazz to it.
Yeah, let's dig in, man.
Let's get it, man. Best way, I always tell people, kind of fold it in, push it in a little, and then just have at it.
It's fucking great. You're talking about the funkiness of the cheese, right?
You kind of get that first, right?
But the beautiful thing is, funky provides umami a lot. Think about the fish sauce, right? That we use in our culture.
Right?
Growing up as a kid, we were so afraid to use that shit because
You're like, man, it's gonna smell. Everyone's gonna make fun of me, man.
it scares all your friends away. You're like, what is your mom cooking? Why does it smell like shit? Oh my God.
You're like,
I was like, it's good.
yeah.
And it's like, but they're afraid to eat it. You know, did you ever come across that when your mom's cooking? When you're
Absolutely. I mean, friends would come over to my house, and I remember, you know, I'm sure like every good immigrant parent, your mom probably used to use like a yogurt container that had no yogurt in it, or like opening a thing of Crocker butter that had not butter in it, probably God knows what, you know. My mom was the kind of person that would never
still do
cook.
that now. Yeah.
Eventually, like, my friends like were craving my mom's food because they'd be like, oh damn, like I remember like me and some friends, we would used to have like eating contests trying to see how many of these we could eat in one sitting. I remember like we had a friend that ate probably like 12 or 13 of these.
I'm one in. I think I can do at least 6 more if I wanted
know,
to. I'm not gonna win a competition, but I'll compete just to eat. When you were trying to open up Nixta here, I mean, in the beginning, there had to be some kind of struggle when you start open your own restaurant.
I came here with that intention to open. I came to Texas because I was like, I'm gonna open a taqueria here in Austin, Texas. We're gonna do nixtamal corn tortillas, and we're gonna stand out by cooking a lot of vegetables. And everyone was like, that's the worst idea ever. I'm like, what? And they'd be like, yeah, like, how are you gonna open in Texas? You're not gonna have any meat, you're not gonna have any barbecue on your menu, and you're gonna do corn tortillas? Like, everyone eats flour, you know? And I don't know, hearing that just fueled my fire even more to make it like, no, like,
Yeah.
fuck that. I'm going to do this idea that in my head, like, I was like, this should work. Like, this, why wouldn't this work? It's like, there's a lot of people that are trying to transition to like gluten-free diets. One, also two, like corn. At this point, really, there was the only restaurant when I moved here in like 2016 that was doing nixtamal was really at that point, shoot. I mean, it was pretty slim and none
I
outside
never
of.
even heard of it until I dined at your place. I didn't know anything about nixtamal, corn. Let's break that down to dummy terms, right?
Okay.
Like non-Hispanic, non-Mexican. What does that even mean?
So, Nixta is short for a long word called Nixtamalization. Us as humans, we cannot break down corn.
Right.
You know, I'm sure you've eaten some corn.
Oh, we know what happens after you eat a lot of corn.
And yeah, you see it the next day. It's always a nice reminder of, oh, I had some corn last night. Well, nixtamalization is when you take corn, water, and the magic ingredient, which is called cal. You add this to the water and it creates this alkaline solution. But what will happen is the corn will start off little tiny kernel. After soaking and nixtamalizing, it's gonna almost double or triple in size. And the corn at that point too has started releasing its natural gelatins, starches that are within the corn, and also it unlocks a ton of natural vitamins that your body would not be able to digest if you didn't nixtamalize this corn. This has pretty much become our signature dish, like without a doubt. It's a duck carnitas taco. All we do is take some really beautiful duck legs and thighs, sear them off, and then we comb feed them low and slow, about 12 to 15 hours in duck fat with a bunch of aromatics, a bunch of chilies, a little bit of Mexican Coke to kind of give it a little, you know, a little extra sabor. And then we top it with really simple salsa. It's called salsa cruda. I feel like it helps cut the richness on duck really nicely because it's so bright and acidic. And then we can't forget about the tortilla. It's our dual color tortilla. So a little bit of blue corn, a little bit of yellow corn. I don't know, I just feel like it's a cool testament to Mexican food and using something that might be in a, because if you look at this, and most people when they say they don't like duck, we have them try this and they're like, oh damn, like this is rich. It almost tastes like pork. I wouldn't even know I'm eating duck. It highlights an ingredient that is also pre-Hispanic. I mean, before the Spanish arrived, Mexican and Aztec specifically, the main protein source they actually used to eat were actually duck and rabbit. So in a way, we're kind of honoring our past by highlighting this protein.
Let's eat. It's quiet right now because we're just gonna devour.
We're gonna have a moment. We can go to church.
When you got nominated for James Beard, what was that feeling versus winning?
I remember running in my underwear up and down my house, just like freaking out, like, what the hell? And that was for a semifinalist. And then, you know, you announced the finalists, and I was like, in a million years, I didn't even think I was gonna become a finalist. So I was like, for me, just being nominated as a semifinalist was the world to me, because I was like, damn, dude, I'm doing this, doing tacos in a restaurant that, to be honest, like at first we were like, this is a good restaurant, but like, we'll never win any awards with this. Like maybe once we have like a fancy restaurant, or maybe once we have a restaurant with like all the bells and whistles, you'll then get there.
It's funny because I felt the exact same way, right? But I want to see, you know, how you felt when you actually won.
Dude, like having that whole week going into it, I felt like I had written even myself off. All the nominees that I was nominated against, I was like, damn, these guys are doing panels all throughout the week. They're getting invited to all these parties. Like, I was just trying to like coordinate or network with anyone that I could, eat wherever I could. Like, I was just content to be there. I was like, in no way am I gonna win. You know, that night, the award that I was nominated for is the first award that gets presented. I remember looking over to my mom, she's like getting all nervous. I was like, Mom, like don't worry about it. And that was the cool part about it too. I was very fortunate that I had my parents next to me.
Amazing.
You know, had my wife, Sarah, and then some other friends from the Taco Mafia also there. They list off all the names, and then you hear your name being called. And it was very much so like I've blacked out. Like literally, I don't remember walking to the stage. But the one thing I do remember, which is kind of a trip, you know when you get an iPhone alert that like incoming storm is or incoming something is happening? Well, it just so happened to be the moment I won, a tornado literally was coming through the whole south side of Chicago, and like ravaging all these electrical towers. Like one of the worst tornadoes that had hit in a few years. It was very temporary, but it only lasted like, it only touched down for like a few minutes. Everyone apparently was told to evacuate. So after winning the award, you take a photo and then you're like, all right, we're gonna send you off to the press room. And you go, I remember walking into the press room and no one was in there. And I remember my handler with me was like, where is all the media? And they're like, there's a tornado about to hit, evacuate immediately. And we're like, what? Like, what just happened? Like, I'm just running off of this high of like just winning an award. And then I'm like, I'm just told that a tornado is hitting and to evacuate. I'm like, where are my parents? Like, what the hell's happening?
That had to be a lot going on.
And then I remember walking outside because they escorted us outside of the building. And Chicago, like literally no one was outside. It was the most bizarre feeling. And you heard all these sirens going off. And I was like, what is happening right now? Like, no one's out on the street. Literally, you hear these alarms going off. Like, is the world about to end? Like, what the?
I can seriously see why you remember that part of it.
Oh, yeah. All right, Bob. We are gonna finish with a little sweet finish. It's funny enough, when we opened up the restaurant, we only initially had just popsicles on the menu. And we were kind of going back and forth, Sarah and I, on what dish we wanted to do. And then I was like, man, rice pudding should be something that's pretty easy. I know how to make a good rice pudding. I did a Mexican one originally, gave it to her, and she was like, this is good, but like, you know, in Iran, we have a dish that is similar to this. And I remember started researching about it. I was so fascinated by it. I was like, damn, that sounds like a better version of rice pudding. So this is called Sholeh Zard. Traditionally in Iran, this is a dish that traditionally has like a bunch of rose water in it, sugar, has some like vanilla, turmeric, saffron, cardamom also. It's like this really like beautifully kind of rich, savory, sweet dish, but treat it almost like a French custard in a way. So, you know, most rice puddings won't be finished with egg yolks and butter and heavy cream. But yeah, this is our own kind of take on it. We sub out, you know, also to the rose water. I don't really love rose water in a dish. I think it's a little too floral. And we sub out using strawberry powder on top, which is kind of why you see that like.
So it looks like strawberry shortcake.
Yeah, for sure. In that same sense, definitely. But it just so happened to be the week we put it on, the food writer for the New York Times, Priya Krishna, having to come and eat at the restaurant and pick up. We were kind of freaked out. I was definitely freaked out because I was like, oh my God, like what is she doing here for one? We're super fortunate that we gave her this dish, but when we got the email from her, she was like, the header was like something in the sense that like, I hate rice pudding or something was in that email. And we were like, oh my God, we fed her a dish that she hates. So we're like, damn, we're about to get shut down. Or like, we're about to get a bad review. But we like proceed to read on this email and she was like, I remember I was driving home. I didn't want to touch the rice pudding, to be honest, because I really don't love rice pudding. It's not a dish that I kind of draw myself to or, you know, are a fan of. But my cousin like wouldn't shut up about this rice pudding. He was like, yo, you gotta try this. This is different. This is really special. And she ended up trying it and loved it. Loved it so much that literally like a few months later, this dish was on like the front page of the New York Times on a Sunday of like it being like one of the best things she had eaten that year. Even though she didn't really get to eat that many things, but hell, I mean, it was cool to like get that recognition.
You take it where we didn't get it, right?
And especially for myself, because I'm not a pastry chef. Let's get into it. So, you know, it's kind of like a trick when you see this. You think it's gonna be like all pink, but then kind of dig into it and then whoa, you see this kind of like bright yellow layer from the turmeric and the rice. But like I said, we kind of treat it like a custard, you know? It's like very velvety. It doesn't eat like a normal rice pudding. You know, it's a little salty. It's a little sweet. Gives you a little texture with the pistachios. We finish it with a little bit of molten sea salt, just to kind of give you that, you know, that balance. You know, I don't like desserts that are super sweet. I love savory components in my desserts.
Same. You know, you were talking earlier about the New York Times. Maybe that article is kind of what catapulted you a little bit and gets you out there to other, you know, news articles or. Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, a lot of people have been like, what is that one thing? And I'm like, we're doing this as first-time restaurant owners. We have 0 backers, 0 investors. We want to do it in this manner because we feel like if we don't have any investors or any outside influence, we can make a restaurant that we want to make that will make us proud of things that we're trying to highlight of having this like immigrant experience here in America and trying to, you know, have that story resonate with people. And I think the moment we knew was like, I remember the day one of when we opened, and it wasn't until like 11:30, one of our staff members was like, yo, look outside. I'm like, peeped out. There was a line wrapped around the corner and we were like, oh shit. Like, shit's about to get real. You know, ran for about 10 days and then everything shut down. Like this huge momentum that we had, like literally we like had to pull the brakes on it super hard, and we were just trying to figure out what our next moves were gonna be, what our next steps were gonna be. Yeah, there was just a lot of things that happened. It was like that, the New York Times article, Food and Wine put us as their best new restaurant in America, like a few months after, even though it was still the pandemic.
Coming out of COVID, and then all of a sudden, James Beard, right? And then you got Michelin.
With James Beard, it's not this, it doesn't have this international prestige that Michelin has to it. So, you know, we won the Michelin thing not too long ago. It was like, you know, over the winter in like October, November. That for us literally brought us this whole new cast of people that didn't know about us before.
Right.
I think a James Beard for me personally is a little more meaningful to me. Like, if you know, you know, like it's this whole process that we were just really grateful to be a part of. And then obviously to have won it was just, you winning any award is a testament to the team that you have that really just got us to that.
Speaking about moving forward, I mean, what is the future? I mean, is it more concepts, or is it expanding this concept, or evolving the menu? What are your future plans for yourself and for Nixta?
I think we decided, we were like, well, what if we took this next evolution of Nixta? We have a garden now. Why don't we utilize that garden and do like a small tasting menu that, you know, we only do like 20 people, 24 people a night. So it's really small, it's really intimate. It makes it a little more refined than what we traditionally do at Nixta. It's all set menu, you know, it's all reservation based, and we know exactly how many people are coming in. So for us, that was one of the next steps that we were able to take to kind of evolve Nixta. And then the other thing that we're currently doing right now, which we're kind of in like a testing stage right now, and we want to see kind of maybe where it takes us. But, you know, with opening Nixta and then with opening the tasting menu as well, we were able to do something that's, you know, very Mexican and with little Persian touches. But we've been testing recently a monthly brunch series where we do Iranian food.
Yeah, I saw that.
We're fortunate enough that every single one of them is sold out pretty quick. People are starting to kind of catch a buzz for it. And we want to see maybe where this next evolution, next step takes us. So
I don't think a lot of people understand how Loud Bar came to be too. So when we were parked up north at Fourth Tap, we used to do our chef table series. Same idea, right? Tasting menu, 7 courses. That was my testing ground for the menu at Loud Bar currently.
Oh, okay.
So little by little, 15 nights, I'm dialing this menu, dialing this plate in, and finally I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
By night 15, that has to be it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, okay, reserve that one, reserve that one, reserve that one. The ones that don't work, right?
Yeah,
I'll work on it later. But the ones that work, we're like, that needs to be there. And all of a sudden we open Loud Bar, people are like, well, what do you do about your menu? I said, I already have it. I already have most of the menu stuff ready to go.
Yeah.
We didn't want to open, like he was like baby steps. I didn't want to open all that stuff right at once because my kitchen has to be dialed in. My team has to be dialed in. I said, once they get used to the space, then I was like, okay, let's add. So I'm still adding, I'm still changing, but I mean, it's an evolution. It's great to see how Nixta has evolved. It's great to see the partnership with you and Sarah evolving this concept little by little by little.
We'll kind of see what happens here in Austin, but you know, so far people are
I think you'll be
giving us
all
a good
right.
reception about it.
You'll be all right.
Yeah, and yeah, we'll see where the road takes us, man.
I want to say thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy guy, but thank
Always
you
got
so
time
much.
for you, dude. Hey, appreciate you, Bob.
Pleasure.
Thank you for having
Thank
me. Glad we got to spend a meal
Yeah,
together.
for sure.
You know, chop it up, and
I'll see you soon at Loud Bar.
I'll be there. I'll be coming through.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Chef to Chef. This episode is presented by InKind, a partner to thousands of restaurants across the country. InKind does two amazing things. They help restaurants like mine grow with hospitality first funding that truly understands what it takes to run a restaurant. No banks, no investors breathing down your neck, just real support from people who really get it. And with the app, patrons will be able to earn discounts and rewards at top dining spots all across the country. When I was launching Loud Bar, InKind not only provided the crucial startup funds, but also helped new customers find my restaurant. So if you're a restaurant owner or a restaurant goer, InKind makes your dining experience so much easier and rewarding. Download the app today.